song, right?
Yeah, it is. Just sharing my whole experience of going to Peru and doing ayahuasca. So I did 3 ayahuasca ceremonies. And so originally what happened was I was scrolling on TikTok one day, and there's this kid, Ari Malloy, who's like 20 years old. He's got so many followers on TikTok and Instagram, and he's a successful business owner. He does coaching and some other things, but he was offering an ayahuasca retreat. So I messaged him, and I turned out to be selected for the retreat or whatever. And it was several $1,000s, which, I was so blessed to be able to just pay that right then and there. And it was in October last year when I signed up for it. And so I planned my travels to Peru, and the ayahuasca ceremony was held in a village in the Amazon, like on the Amazon River. So I couldn't directly fly to this place. I had to take 3 different flights to get to this city, to get to this little town. And it was called Pucallpa, Peru. So it's by flight, I think it's like 3 hours away from Lima, the capital. Or it's an hour away, excuse me, it's just an hour. So, but the flight there was so beautiful. I actually originally went to Panama for a week and a half to stay with one of my friends. And it's funny because I went to high school with her. I barely knew her. But we ran into each other at Goodwill in Tucson because she was home in Tucson visiting because one of her friends passed away. And we ran into each other at Goodwill, and we just started talking, and then we hung out, and she invited me to Panama. So I went to Panama before that. And her husband have like 4 beach houses in the little Panamanian city that they live in. It's called Boca del Toro. And it's this small town, but her husband's running for mayor too. So, and I got to stay in all of the beach houses, and it was like beach houses on top of water. It was like in the middle of the water. Such an amazing experience, like getting ready before going to Peru. And so I went, and I met up with this group of people that I haven't met before. It was held by a shaman, his wife, and Ari, who is the 20-year-old kid who offered me the retreat or accepted me into it. And they integrated us. We had to prepare a specific diet 2 weeks before, where it was no red meat, no salt, no sugar, no coffee, nothing fat, no foods high in fats, like not a lot of oils. And so we prepared that. I tried to stay as faithful to the diet as possible, but I did have cacao a couple times, and I did have a dogo, or like a hot dog, because someone offered it to me when I was in Panama. And it's like I can't deny food when someone offers me food, like especially in like a Latin country, like Hispanohablante, like a Spanish-speaking country. You shouldn't do that. And I gladfully ate it. It was like delicious or whatever, and it was really beautiful. But I feel that me not fully preparing the diet or following the diet, I feel like it kind of hurt a little bit of the ceremonies, I would say, for me. So I think that just following the appropriate diet, la dieta that they have you follow, they call it, is important. But I prepared my body and I prepared my mind before this whole ayahuasca ceremony, and I had a lot of anxiety before I went, and there was some moments where I was feeling kind of depressed, and it was around my cycle, and it was so crazy because my cycle came 5 days early before the ayahuasca ceremony, and I think that my body did that specifically to stay along the lines of the moon cycle, but also so that I would have a different experience when I was doing the ceremonies. And so we get to this village in Pucallpa, and the shaman, his name is, I don't know why I keep reading his name. I was with him for so long. He's so hairy. He has the longest hair, and his body is so freaking hairy. um, Anyways, he picked us up at the airport. It's this tiny airport, and then we take a little cart. They don't have in this town Pucallpa. They don't have normal cars. They have like motorbikes that have carriages on the back, and you go in these carriages throughout. Like everyone's driving these little carriages. I can't wait to post the pictures that I got from this trip. But everyone has these little cars, and they're like not normal cars. You know, they're like little bikes. And so we went on a bike carriage to a different part of the town, to the river part. And so we get there, we load up our luggage in a boat, and we take this boat all the way through the Amazon River, and it's like an hour boat ride. And the water is kind of muddy. It doesn't look very clean or clear, but I stuck my feet in it, and then Carolina, one of the hosts, she told me, she's like, don't do that. There's piranhas, there's piranhas. How do you say it in English? Piranhas, yeah, piranhas in the water. But I saw kids swimming in the water, so I don't know how crazy those piranhas are. But it was a surreal ride, you know, getting in a motorbike and then a boat, and then we had to get into the back of a truck. You know how they'll carry animals like in a carriage somewhere, like a truck, where we all loaded up and we're all standing up and we have our luggage in there too. We were just standing up for the ride, so it was like another 20 minutes, I would say, driving to this village in Pucallpa, and there wasn't any more water that we had to go over. But we go into the village area, and we have like our own rooms. We had shared rooms of little houses that had no electricity, and hold on, get a reminder. There was no electricity. It was like a wooden cabin that had windows with mosquito nets, and they had twin-size beds that had a mosquito net over it because there's so many mosquitoes. Like I'm covered in mosquito bites because I'm really tasty, I guess. But we had a shower. It was like a very simple shower. It was like a room this tiny little room that you walk into, and there's a toilet. You can't throw any toilet paper in the toilet. And the shower was just like a little shower faucet head, and the water would just go down into the ground. Like it was probably 3 feet distance from where the shower was to the ground, but it was all wooden, and there was no mirrors, no electricity. We had nowhere to plug in our phones. I wasn't on my phone or my computer. Pretty much I did go on it to listen to some music that I had saved and to take some videos and pictures, but I only charged my phone once when I was there because I didn't really go on it. And I didn't study, which I was planning on studying, but I didn't. I ended up not studying it at all, which is fine. But we got there the first day, I'd say like around 4 o'clock, and it was us just kind of preparing our bodies for the ceremony, because the first ayahuasca ceremony was the next day. And we got in a group, we sat together, we introduced ourselves, we all shared why we wanted to do ayahuasca and what our intentions were for being there. And I cried, of course, which is cool. I always cry. And I share just the pain that I feel inside. I feel a lot of pain inside from a lot of my past life experiences and a recent event that happened in my life within the past 3 months. And it's, I've had an amazing life, but I've been through a lot of things that I carry, like that pain still inside of myself. And I do a whole ton of things, like a lot of holistic approaches, meditation, breath work, all kinds of different things to help myself, but I still, I don't have the solace that I want. So, which is why I took this venture to do ayahuasca, because I've done plant medicine before, and it's really like made such a huge impact on my life and on my mind and on my body too. So this, like, ayahuasca is the next level up above plant medicine. They say it's like the grandmother. It's, just the all-knowing of plant therapies. So we shared that, and we had dinner, and then we all went to sleep like around 8 or 9 o'clock. I think I slept till 5 or something a.m. and I got up and I didn't do my normal routine, which my normal routine is to meditate, study, and do like mirror work and stuff, but kind of was just processing my thoughts and what I was thinking about and what I was feeling. And the first day of the ceremony, in the morning, we fasted. We didn't have any food until about 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. And there was like this whole itinerary of what we were going to do, and I did not care for it. I did not want to read it. I did not really want to know what was going on. I didn't really have any questions. I was like, I know I'm safe here. I know that there's good intentions for this plan. I feel protected. And so, but the first day was the purge. So the morning of, like, around 7 or 8 o'clock, we all met in this part of the village, and they gave us this drink, and it was like a green drink. They told us to drink it, and like as soon as I drank it, they were like, you need to drink as much water as possible. As soon as I drank it, I felt like immense, like horrible feelings of nausea. I felt just like, I don't like throwing up at all. Throwing up is like a horrible thing to me. So I was just super uncomfortable. I started crying, and I just felt like I was suffering so much because I had just like extreme nausea out of nowhere. And it wasn't out of nowhere. It was because I drank the plant. And like all of us, maybe like I think 8 of us, were against this bank of plants, and we're all just like projectile vomiting, and we're just throwing up like all of this water. And they call it the purge because we had to cleanse our body. So we already prepared our body with the diet of no salt, no sugar, no fats, no meats, no red meat specifically, just fish pretty much. And as soon as I threw up 3 times, and it was just like water, just straight water that came out. It was like a complete euphoria. I felt complete euphoria. I felt so euphoric and so peaceful. And then we rested after that. And then we met for lunch. We had a light lunch. We didn't have dinner. We had a fast for dinner. And then we met in this, I think they call it mulaka. It's mulaka. And it's this dome building, this wood, and it has like a tall dome peak, and it's a circle. So all the walls are pretty much like wood, and then there's a portion of window, and then wood. Then it like leads into a peak on the ceiling. It's like this huge dome room, but all the windows it's enclosed with like mosquito nets. And I checked out this place in the day before we met. We did the ceremony in the night, and it was like nothing but a bunch of twin-sized beds on the ground with buckets next to them. I was like, what kind of fucking drug addict am I doing this shit? And it was just that's just the way they do the ceremonies, So they started the ceremony at 8:30. It was in complete darkness. The darkness, or the light that we had, was from the moonlight. And the mother, her name was Elisa. She was the shaman who was giving the ayahuasca. She had a flashlight, and she would point the flashlight at you for when it was your turn to drink it. And before we did all of this whole ceremony, like, we rested, we ate lunch, and then after that we talked with one of the previous shaman, he explained us what the plant was, like how the plant was made, and how they do it, and how their ancestors found out about this plant, and then the process of ayahuasca, which was, so several, I would say 50 years ago, these people, their grandparents, they would meditate a lot. And there wasn't, like all these distractions. They're like in this village in the Amazon. So there's nothing like media, political stuff. There's no like social media or anything like that. They would meditate a lot, and then they started getting visions of and dreams of this tree. And this is a story that I was told. So I know there's probably other versions and other stories, but this specific village, Shipibo people, this was their story they told us. This woman, there was a mother of someone, so it was like great grandmother. She had a dream to take bark from a tree and to take another plant and boil them together. I think that's the way they do it. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember the entire like process of cooking ayahuasca, but her dream was to take the bark of this tree and then mix it with this plant. And they use several different plants for ayahuasca. It could be like a master plant of some kind where it has different effects, different healing effects. I actually have some of the tree right here. So this is from the ayahuasca tree that I was given. I was gifted this. So I have this at my home in Tucson. This is like from a tree in Peru. It's ayahuasca. So it's like very awesome. But that's how they prepare it. And it turned out to be like this thick drink. And it was like red, brown, like a brownish red. And the Elisa, the shaman, she would point her flashlight at you when it was your turn, and she would like turn the flashlight on when you were there to drink it. And she would, it was like a scene from a movie, I swear. So it's like this big ass room with all these people in the dark, and she like, I watched every single person go up. So she would point at them, they would go up and they would sit in front of her kind of like this, or they would sit in front of her like this. And I don't know what their experience was, but my experience when I went up, I went to her and I sat down like this. And she like slowly looked up at me, like with her eyes. She's so slow to look up at me. And then she poured it, and then she slowly looked up at me again. And we like nodded our heads. And so I like took the cup with both my hands and I drank it. It was strong, man. I felt immediate nausea and like queasy stomach, even though like I only had one meal that day and I pretty much fasted the rest of the day. It was, yeah. So I went back to my bed, my little twin-size bed, and I had a couple things in front of my bed. They told us to bring things that were important to us, like pictures of family members or things that we use for prayer or for meditation. And I brought something different every single ceremony. In the first ceremony, I don't remember exactly what I brought, but yeah, so we're all in this room. We all drink this tea, this ayahuasca drink, which is like a thick liquid. And after everyone drinks it, she keeps the flashlight off, and everyone, a lot of people sat in meditation, and then half the room laid down. And I think I tried to sit in meditation as long as I could, but I just was so nauseous, and I laid down, and then I had like such a like huge urge to throw up, and so I sat up and I threw up 3 or 4 times, and that was about 30 minutes after I took the drink. And then that's when like the hallucinations started happening. these, in my personal experience, I did not see anything with my eyes open. The first time, I saw everything with my eyes closed. So after I threw up, I started feeling really weird. I closed my eyes and I laid back down. And I started seeing all this nature. I started seeing so many things. Like, I felt like I was in Africa. And I started seeing like all these planes in nature of, not planes, but just like this overview of like going through land and trees. And I started seeing the inside of an anthill. And I started seeing how ants make their anthill. And I started seeing beetles. And this was like nothing of fear. I felt no fear. I didn't feel anything that was like gross. It wasn't gross. I love bugs and insects anyways. They don't gross me out. Unless it's a tick, which I didn't see a tick, because ticks are the only insect that really, and cockroaches really gross me out. But and then I saw myself from above, and I was on sand, and my body was like in the shape, in a fetal form, or the fetal shape, and my body was like cut in half in a way that I can see my insides, but I had no organs. My whole entire body was made up of beetles. That's what I saw and I felt. And I just, I became a part of nature, and it was very natural, nature like. And then everyone around me starts throwing up. Like, everyone has a bucket and everyone's just like throwing up. And there was this one man who was like violently throwing up. And I grew this like extreme irritation and this annoyance. And I felt so irritated. And I felt at the same time there was nothing wrong with me feeling that way. I felt right for feeling that way. And I felt like I had the right to be upset, and I had the right to be bothered by other people, and that they're having their own experience, and even though I feel annoyed by them and they're getting on my nerves, like, they're having their own experience, but I'm having my own experience. And it wasn't like I was trying to control. It's not like I was asking people to stop, but I was just annoyed. And then I started feeling feelings of loneliness and sadness. And I felt so much, I don't want to say pity. I didn't feel pity. I felt so much remorse and compassion at the same time for myself. And just, how do I say it? I don't know, I felt so many feelings for myself for having lived alone for such a huge portion of my life. And I was just like, I've been alone for such a like a huge portion of my life. I've been alone. I haven't had anybody. I haven't, and that's not 100% true. I've had people in my life, but I have felt alone for, like, since I was 12. I have felt alone in this world, and especially since my brain injury. The brain injury I had when I was 19, just like, I have felt so alone since that age, or since that event. And I started crying. Like crazy. And I started praying to God. I said, please, God, I need a partner. I need, like, someone to be in my life. And I really wanted, like, a man to comfort me. And Ari, this 20-year-old kid who was on the other side of this room, he got up and walked over, and he sat with me. And he didn't hold me, but he put his hand on my head for some time and consoled me for that time. And he put this special water on me too. Actually, let me grab my ayahuasca bag. I totally forgot. This is a symbol. These are symbols from the ayahuasca. They say that ayahuasca looks like this. You can see like this pattern. And this is agua florida, and he put agua florida on me, and which is something that Native Americans use, but this tribe also use it. It's like spiritual water. I'm not really reading the chat at all. Hi to everyone that's here. I'm not sure who's still here. Hi. Hey, Paul. Spiritual downloads, very spiritual, blah, blah, blah. Do you practice witchcraft? When I was a little girl, I did, for sure. But I don't think so anymore. But we had this Palo Santo, which we had lit. We put it on our wrist and our head and then our ankles. Ooh. Before to cleanse our energy and protect us. We had this little thing, which we couldn't make any noise because for the practice of the Shipibo people and for the actual like tradition of the ayahuasca ceremony is that everyone sits in silence in meditation or through rest, and they close their eyes and listen to the messages that they get from the plant. And the Shipibo people, like this is a 6-hour ceremony, okay? 4 to 6 hours. The Shipibo people, the shaman, the woman, Elisa, she sang these things called Icaros. And if you look it up on YouTube, there's actually a like recorded ceremony from an actual ceremony. I said that weird. And you hear people throwing up and you hear them sing. But the Icaros are, I remember like when I first heard it, it sounded like it was coming from a different side of the room. It was like this soft sound that grew so strongly. And it was like, it's like I was in the voice. And it wasn't even through my ears. It was so different. Different experience than, yeah. It was like I became things that I didn't realize that I was already, if that makes sense. Anyway, so I'm crying, and Ari, he's like consoling me. He put his hand on my head for a while, and it helped calm me down. And so I still felt a lot of sadness and remorse for the life experiences that I've had and for my solitude. And I sat up and I looked up in the moon. It was almost a full moon. It was like half moon. And it just came out of nowhere, and it was so bright and so big that it lit up this whole room. And I was like it was so magnetic. Like I was so drawn to it. And I sat and just stared at it. And the girl, Becca, one of the girls on the retreat too, she was next to me. And she was crying. She started crying a bunch. And I let her do her thing and work on, what she needed to work on, which she did. But then there was a moment where I felt like she needed someone. So I sat with her. She was right next to me. So I sat with her and we hugged each other. We held foreheads to each other. And then I went back to my spot and I just continued to look at the moon. And that was my first experience doing ayahuasca. It was like several different things that I saw, which was within nature, but also kind of surface level things in regards to the pain that I feel or the pain that I've had throughout my life, and being okay with it and not having remorse. Well, yeah, like not really having remorse for it and not feeling guilty for the pain that I felt, if that makes sense. And just passing ultimate compassion to someone else who was in pain as well. And Becca, the girl that we like hugged each other, we talked afterwards, and she said that in that moment that she was feeling so much abandonment, and she took her time. But the moment that I hugged her, she said that she felt like an abandoned child, and that it helped. Just like Ari came to me, it really helped me get through those difficult, painful like emotions and experiences that I was processing. And I'm not going to share all of my ayahuasca experiences right now. I'll do a video for every single experience because they were like a whole entire world in itself. Like there was so much more. There's so many things that happened in my mind and so many things that I was able to process. And I have been scared of ayahuasca. You mirror the moon, reflecting my beauty. Hey, Vicente, if you're still here. I see a man growing a damaged limb once in Canamoca, Mexico. Did you do, my sweet loco, did you do ayahuasca? There? Yeah, so this is just sharing my first experience doing ayahuasca. It wasn't what I expected, because I expected like like something to like drastically like blow in my face, like something that just blow my mind out of the water. And it wasn't like that my first time. My third time it was for sure. But there's still a lot of like unhealed trauma that I have that like those first couple experiences, like the first two experiences kind of prepared me for the last one. And like the first one, I still thought about things that kind of make me uncomfortable. And I don't remember specifically everything, but I did think about sex, and I did think about, what else did I think about? Just like the times I was alone as a child. As soon as I bring up sex, there's all these people joining. Hey, Alwalid, I hope you're here still. You need more time to reflect. Takes a month, I heard, to sit with. Yeah, it takes multiple times. I would love to do another ayahuasca ceremony. I don't know if I could do that within this year because of just the, oh my gosh, the demands, the physical demands in terms of throwing up. You have to throw up so much, and like you fast a lot. Like I fast normally. I fast every morning for some time, but there was a lot of days where I only had one meal a day, which is fine, but it was just like on top of throwing up. It's a lot for me, and throwing up I don't like to do. And I only throw up like once every 10 years, so it's not a common thing for me. But it's a very healing experience, and I'd love to do it again, but I would need some time in between. And I'm going to return to doing plant medicine. I'd be doing LSD. Who is my sweet loco? Do I know you? I'd be lonely as hell. I feel you. Need more time to reflect. Yeah. I don't know how many people were here for the whole thing. But my first ayahuasca experience was strong, but it was also light. It was very light. I didn't hallucinate as long as I thought that I was going to, and as powerful. And it was just like the time that I spent in nature. The images that I got from nature were super cool. I felt like I was in Africa. I thought I was in Africa, but I wasn't. I was in Peru. So it was pretty cool. I don't know how long this live has been going for. Oh, hey, Victoria. Angelica. Hey, guys. Yeah, does anyone have any questions or want to know anything specific? That's like pretty much everything I remember from my first one. It was just throwing up a bunch. We had to prepare a dieta before we even got to Peru, which was no salt, no meat, no red meats, no sugar. Yeah, positive meditative thoughts.
How much of the epiphanies that you practice right now?
How many epiphanies that I had?
So the epiphanies and the things that you understood about yourself then, how much of them are you practicing in your life right now?
Like the things that I understood or like revealed, or that she revealed to me. Stuff I've been working on for some time. But I think that I have a friend here, Aaron, who asked a question. His question was, out of the epiphanies that I got from these ceremonies, like, was I practicing or working on them before? I was, but the fact that I felt so much irritation and annoyance, and I felt completely right about it. I felt no shame and no guilt for feeling upset. I have rarely felt that way, where I felt no shame for being upset or being annoyed. And I think that's like a new feeling of me being okay with my feelings, even if they're negative, like me accepting my feelings regardless. I need healing. I have swollen lymph nodes all of a sudden. Paul, are you seeing a doctor? Thanks, Cookie. Oh, you're going to the doctor tomorrow. Good to see you too, Victoria. Spells? There's not spells. It's just Icaros that they sing, or just songs that the shaman sings. Did you see anything profound or feel or awareness answers to the universe? Magic spells. I felt that it was kind of superficial for me. I think that there's still like layers that I have to go deep on within myself to be, because I still like couldn't give up control. Like I still wanted to be in control. And I tried to surrender, especially the first time I tried to surrender and I didn't fully surrender. It was a very light batch, the first one. Okay, Angelica. Exactly how is it healing? Is it making you aware of hidden traumas? Then you later do the healing work, or is it more so all at once? So Angelica, the ayahuasca, it will reveal things to you for you to work on for yourself, and for make you notice things about yourself maybe that you didn't before. But it's different for every single person. Like everyone has a different experience. There was a lot of things that I already knew about myself and things that I've been working on for some time. But then there were some things that I learned about myself. And the things that I learned about myself were that it's okay the way I feel. Like, it's okay the way I am. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me being upset or me being annoyed or all these things, because it's like, I don't want to say people, but just like there's this general consensus that you have to, like, if you're positive, you have to love everything, be happy about everything. And it's like, no, I have a dark side to me too. Like, there's a yin yang within all of us. We have a masculine and a feminine side. And there are times where I am not always like feminine or passive or kind. Like, I am kind and mature, but there are times where I'm upset and angry, and don't know how to voice that because I'm afraid that I'll hurt someone else. And that experience made me realize that it doesn't matter about other people. Like, there's nothing wrong with the way I feel. Like, me feeling upset, me feeling annoyed, like, that is, I am completely right to feel that way. Energy awareness that comes from stomach power. Ego death. I didn't feel an ego death. So when I had the brain injury when I was 19, I died. Like, I physically died for a millisecond. So I've naturally had a release of DMT, which is ayahuasca, I guess, and DMT is only released when we're born and when we die, or right before we die. And it's like a way to ease us into the transition of life, of us being born and then us transitioning over to the other side. And I was thinking, it's like, since I've had that natural release of DMT before, like, it's naturally produced in our body, am I not able to take in this, like, ayahuasca? Like, I felt like all these things are wrong with us, or wrong with me, excuse me. And then the next day, our facilitators, they told us that it was a light version and that they put I don't want to say spell, but they put something on it so that we wouldn't experience a crazy trip, if that makes sense. Let me see. Since thank you, I've done all the healing work. I'm hyper aware of myself, but there's no ending to healing. I'm curious about it, but scared of losing control of my body. There is no ending. There is no ending to this healing experience. Like, I've done so much healing on myself, but there's so much that I don't know, and there's so much more that I gotta work on, you know, and I've come so freaking far, but it's a never-ending process. And, you know, that was something that I was afraid of too, is like, am I gonna poop my pants? Am I gonna pee myself? But I didn't do any of that. I did throw up a lot though, and I had control of that. I threw up in a bucket that was made for me to throw up in. And I was clean. Like, I didn't lose control of my body. I didn't seizure. I didn't do something that I didn't want to do. Someone didn't do something to me that I didn't want to be done. I was safe. And I know there's like fear involved in it, but you really have to surrender and trust that you're going to be okay, because these people, like the Shipibo people, there's other tribes that do this, but their intention is to help the world and to heal. So they have good intentions, and I'm sure people have had bad experiences, but most people have had good experiences. And ayahuasca is the next step, and I think it's definitely worth it to try it out. The people that I did it with was Nahuanete. I don't know if I could tag them in here. No, I can't invite them. But if you search them, Nahuanete, Nowanete, those are the facilitators of the experience, or the thing that I did. And I'm going to try to get them to come to Tucson, because there's this amazing land that I go to here in Tucson that would be perfect to have an ayahuasca ceremony there, or ceremonies there. Yeah, I know you've done a lot. Well, I don't know how much work you've done, Angelica. We haven't seen each other in several years. But I mean, it'd be great if you shared your experience with me. That's awesome. You just really got to surrender. And there, you know, it's like I surrender as best as I can. There's so many things that still I don't want to let go of, like control of my mind. And it's so many things. But that was my first ceremony, my first ayahuasca ceremony. I'll do another live on Instagram and YouTube talking about my second ayahuasca experience, because each one was big. And even though the first two were just like, I didn't feel like I got what I expected. It's like, you can't expect these things, you know? But the third one, holy crap, was like, that one was big, and it was crazy. But I'll do another live. I'll announce it in maybe I'll do it in like 2 days. I think 2 days I'll do it. But does anyone else have any other questions? Oh, Cookie, you'd be down to do it in Tucson? Cool. You have any more questions? Oh. What they put on your hands for not to trip out, just in case. Like a collar. Oh, the agua florida. That's right. Let me grab it. This is like spiritual water. You see agua florida? It has like a smell, like when men, like older men shave and they put this like aftershave on, it kind of smells like that. Okay, Cookie, I'll keep you updated, but it would probably be later this year in the fall sometime. Okay, guys, message me if you have any more questions. I'll probably do a live in about 2 days for the second ceremony. So thanks so much for joining. Thank you, Angelica. 3. There was 3 ceremonies I did. Gotta hop off though. Nice. It was nice chatting with you too. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Share. How do we stop this one? Did you just stop it? Let me see. Share. Copy link. Are you sure you want to stop? Yes.